room 14 that was having the bad luck. When I was first hired at that facility, there was an elderly lady living in room 14. She was very high functioning but had dementia, and her family could no longer take care of her. Well, this lady had an odd routine when it came to the night shift. She would take her meds, and shortly after, the nurse would tuck her into bed. About 5-10 minutes later, she would get out of bed and wash her hands. Then she would get back into bed, press her call light, and shortly after, she would call for the nurse. "Nurse, nurse, help!" Or some variation of that statement is what she would say every night. When the nurses check on her, she would tell them that the kids aren't letting her sleep, and if she can get someone to take them out of the room. The nurses and CNAs just figured it was what they call sundowning, which is where elderly patients get more confused at night, and sometimes they also become more active and wander around. Well, one night the same thing happened. The elderly patient called for the nurse and the LVN went into the room. The elderly lady said, "Nurse, can you please tell these kids they need to leave?" And the nurse just went along with it and said, "Sure, where are the kids?" The lady pointed right behind the nurse to where there was a sink in front of the restroom door and said, "Right down there under the sink." And at first the nurse was going to play along with it, but then suddenly she hears the water start to run from that sink. Chills shivered her spine and she was frozen in horror. She finally built up the courage to turn around and look at the sink, but there was nothing visibly there. So she ran out and went to tell the other nurses what had happened. The other nurses thought it was funny and teased her about this incident going forward. After a couple of years, this patient eventually passed away, and the room was again assigned to a new patient. This time it was to a 60-year-old patient who had a hip replacement surgery. She was there to receive physical therapy. Around midnight, on her first night there, she put her call light on. The LVN answered the call light and asked if she needed help. The patient was upset and said, "How unprofessional. Why do you bring your kids to work? They keep running around and giggling. Can you tell them to stop playing with the sink?" The nurse informed her that there aren't any kids at the facility. Visiting hours end at 7 and none of the nurses bring their kids to work. The patient was adamant that there was no way that there weren't kids there. The patient said, "Look right there, right there. She just ran right by the door." But when the nurse turned, nothing was there. The next day, the patient signed themselves out against medical advice after talking to their family and telling them what just happened that night. What is with these type of events? Does this have anything to do with those rooms that have higher death rates? I don't know, but I have heard rumors of rooms having to be blessed by a priest because of these type of events. Have you experienced anything like this? Let me know in the comment section.